I want to thank everyone for coming today. We're going to talk about from design to code in seconds with App Builder. My screen is shared. You can see my slides. So I'm going to go through some slides, kind of set this up, and then show you a little bit about how you can go from design to code very easily with App Builder and some of the advantages that you get with that, especially if you are a developer. If you're a designer, you might be like, oh yeah, we do this stuff all the time, but developers are not great at layout, CSS, and what they want is something that the designer brings in. They want to turn it into code pretty quickly. So I'm going to show you a couple ways that we accomplish that with Indigo.Design App Builder today. So my name is Jason Beres. I'm the Senior VP of Developer Tools here at Infragistics. And again, thank you everyone for spending a few minutes with us today. We got about 30 minutes to knock this out. This is a bi-weekly webinar series, and we're going to continue to mix it up and push out more information with how-tos, technical demonstrations, and pretty much everything that you need to know about this product and how you can use it in your application. So today, we're going to look at quickly designing apps, using templates, using preset layouts that we ship, being able to preview those designs, then going into that production-ready code as well. In 2 weeks, we're going to do a webinar on GitHub integration with Indigo App Builder. And then in 2 weeks after that, we're going to do a webinar on kind of extending something that you've built with more stuff on your code. So going more into Angular and how do I add data binding? How do I do other things that would make this a real app? Maybe how do I link into a web API or SQL Server? So we're just going to continue to do that stuff. And then if you have ideas or there's things that you want to see in these webinars, we're here for you. So throw it over into the chat window or into the questions and answers, and we will obviously follow your lead. So what problems do we solve with App Builder? So most developers do not like CSS. They don't like web design, layout. They don't want anything to do with it. How many times have you heard, you'll need to find someone else to make this look good? So what we do is we solve that with a web-based WYSIWYG IDE that anyone can use. You can just go to the web, go to appbuilder.indigo.design, and you're in the design time experience. So trying to get this as easy as Visual Basic, as the Windows Forms designer, as the ASP.NET designer. We're going to continue to improve this experience, of course, based on real world feedback and how you guys are using this to make it super simple for you to start applications and then make that design meaningful, which means you're getting real code on the back end of that. And how do we do that? Well, we have a design system, and that design system is our Ignite UI, Angular components, Blazor components, React components that map up to UI kits that you can use in Sketch, Figma, Adobe XD, and they all kind of triangulate into this web-based tool, which gives you that WYSIWYG experience, drag and drop, and you can just start cranking out your application. So what we've done to mimic tools that you use. So if you're coming from a design side, our app builder is going to look suspiciously like Sketch or Adobe XD. And if you're coming from a dev side, the app builder is going to look very similar to Visual Studio. The biggest change is that we have a property editor that is much simpler than just a typical Visual Studio, list all the properties and, pick from little drop downs. We've tried to make it more descriptive, more choosers, and kind of more guided in how you would use each control. So for each control that you see in the toolbox, there's going to be a custom design experience for the properties that are relevant to that. Some of the things that are always consistent are how this thing lays out on the canvas. But other than that, they're going to be unique. And really, it's just to make it so it's easy to use and easy to actually get started. And what we do with everything that gets designed in the design surface is we allow you to preview your code. So you don't have to do anything special. The way that App Builder is architected and designed is that it's the underlying application is being built in this common app model, but App Builder itself is built in Angular. So, this works especially well for Angular because you're building Angular apps on top of Angular. But I want to retract a little bit of that because you're just building apps. What we're doing is everything you drag and drop onto the design surface gets thrown into our common app model. That common app model is a generic syntax which describes layout, controls, data binding, properties, etc., like a JSON object. And then we move that into the source code of your choice. So again, today we are focused on Angular. Well, I'm not going to say focused. I'm going to say today we shipped Angular. As of this very moment, we are focused on delivering React and Blazor to the app builder. So that means everything that you see here, when you click preview, you can choose what to preview. Do you want Angular? Do you want React? Do you want Blazor? So what that means for you is you don't have to make a decision up front, anything to do with your technology platform. You're just building an app. And then you decide at time of code generation, what code do you want? What we've done with this code is we've made it clean, simple, production ready, JavaScript, HTML, CSS, or TypeScript, HTML and CSS. Any architect, any developer will look at this code and they will not argue with it. And if you do argue with the way we've done things in here, please let us know because we want to make this code for you. We don't want you to feel that, oh, this is the Infragistics way of doing things. It's not the normal or the best practice way. Everything we're trying to do here is a best practice. Now, I want to highlight this, and I'm going to show a little bit of the design side today, not much, but a little. Just so you kind of understand where the designer comes into play here. So with earlier I mentioned design systems. So with Indigo.Design, we have a Indigo.Design design system. That design system is in the form of UI kits for Sketch, Figma, and Adobe XD. And those UI kits describe everything that goes into a design system, like the types of controls, how they behave, what fonts to use, what are the elevations, how should they be defaulted on the screen, and then you have a bunch of UI patterns that go along with that. So if you're a designer and you are using a vector-based tool, you can go ahead and download our UI kits right from inside Indigo.Design, the Indigo.Design's website, and then start building an experience, right? And you can customize that and make it look however you want. We have plugins that let you change a bunch of stuff inside of Sketch and these other tools. So anything that gets designed is guaranteed to have a real world component on the other side. So if you design something with our UI kits and it's a card view or a data grid or a button, we have real world components to back that up. So either you're using it in Sketch or you're using it in the app builder, you're always going to be able to guarantee some sort of code generation. So instead of like using my Mac, because I honestly was going to use my Mac today to do this demo, but there was some wonky issue with my version of Node.js, and I just realized it 10 minutes ago. So I'm using my PC, which always works. I just took a couple screenshots to show you what this design system and what the UI kits look like inside of Sketch. So, and I'm going to open this app up in Adobe XD because you'll be able to see the same thing. But the way that these are presented to a designer or a developer, it doesn't matter, or a project or product manager, it doesn't matter. Like one of our product managers, she uses Sketch to throw this stuff together, to throw designs together to communicate ideas to the dev team and to the stakeholders. It doesn't mean she's doing design to code, but it just means that if you're using our UI kits, you can pretty much create whatever you want. So this looks just like any other toolbox. It looks suspiciously like the toolbox inside of App Builder, where you've got all of these UI components, right? So combo boxes, data grids, lists, navigation, and you're dragging and dropping those onto an artboard inside of your vector-based tool. And you'll see here, this is the Indigo.Design UI kit. And then once those are on the artboard, what you'll see is in the property editor, custom properties we've added. So we take whatever the vector tool is. We understand how those UI kits can fit into that vector tool, Sketch, Adobe XD, etc. We augment the library with what's called overrides, and we present to you specific capabilities and features that allow you to design something in your vector tool. And then you can just automatically upload that into the app builder. I'm going to do a quick demo of that today. But the reason I want to highlight this is because this really does go from design all the way to code. As a developer, I'm not going to use Sketch. I'm not going to use Adobe XD. I'm just going to use the app builder, and I'm going to drag and drop and WYSIWYG my way to an app. But as a designer or a digital team, a digital product team that has designers, has developers, has UX people, has product managers, you may want to use the entire round-tripping system of, hey, let's start with these UI kits. Let's use this design system. We'll customize it for our branding, and that will always be able to go into the next tool, which will be the app builder. I have a question from Dave. Does this work with Blazor? Blazor, we will be shipping. My goal is to ship that with the release of .NET 6, which is in November. So you will be able to preview Blazor code and generate a Blazor app, just like I'm going to show you today with a Angular app. So that is coming. So look forward to that. And I'm pumped about that because Blazor's huge. David says, can you jump into a live demo? Wow. Yes, I can. We're going to do that in 1 minute. So what I want to highlight here is 3 easy ways for you to get your source code. So there's 3 things you can do inside the IDE. You can copy paste, you can download a zip, or you can sync to GitHub. Today, I'm going to show you real quick how to just do the download zip. Next webinar, we're going to talk about GitHub. But we make it super simple for you to get code however you want. So this means if you just need a little snippet, quick copy paste. If you need the whole app, go ahead and download the entire app. So with that, your prayers are answered, David. We're going to go into a live demo. So let's jump right into App Builder. So the way to get to App Builder, go to infragistics.com. You can go right to the first link under Design and Development, Indigo.Design App Builder, or go to Design to Code App Builder, and you're taken to the App Builder homepage. I'm going to click Sign In. We have multiple ways to sign in using the OAuth IDs or your Infragistics ID. I'm going to use my Infragistics ID. And what I have here is like this workbench where I have all of my apps. We also have prototypes and usability studies. What I'm going to do is jump right in to a new app. So when you're presented with the new app screen, we have a series of sample apps, which is growing every day. And then we have a bunch of default layouts. And we also have the ability to drop your sketch files here to do a file upload. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this travel app. And I'm going to click Try Sample. Now, the travel app is a prototypical master detail application. But the nice thing about this is it has a bunch of different screens, and it's showing you sort of different interactions that you can do. So App Builder creates single page applications. To review again, on the left-hand side, I've got my toolbox. So everything I'm doing here is a WYSIWYG. So if I want to drag a component onto the screen and place it in any layout, I can have my component. That component has properties on the right-hand side. I can do things like data binding. So right here, I can select from any one of the data sources that I actually have. I can set the key value and the display property. And then I can add interactions to this. So I can do navigation, open, close, show, hide. And then based on that, I can change where I want to go in the app if I wanted to, like, navigate to a screen. And I'm going to do that real quick. So what I want to do here is just highlight this preview button in the upper right. So this application, maybe a developer put it together, maybe a designer put it together. I've got a bunch of different screens that are kind of showing workflow. And I've got a couple pages that I want to navigate to, and I have this master page. So if I click the preview button on the right, this is where this magic happens with the design to code. So on the right-hand pane, you'll see that I've got the HTML, TypeScript, and CSS for the entire page, specifically that I'm viewing. You'll notice here that these are actual Angular components. So there's no smoke and mirrors. We're not doing something funky. And then you can see we've got things like ng templates. So card views with templates involved. We're actually generating all this automatically by dragging and dropping. You're not doing anything special to make this happen. Now, if I want to look at other views within this, I can click over to the articles view. Now, what's interesting about the articles view is you'll notice that here we've got some data binding code. So the nice thing about this is once you add a data source and you link that data source into a component like a repeater component, a data grid component, data chart, doesn't really matter. We're actually adding the proper Angular ng4 loops, reading that data source and then populating the components, not only at runtime, but here in the designer as well. So all this is happening automatically. So this application is a good example of using data binding right inside of App Builder. You don't have to do anything special. We're iterating, we're doing the ng4. And why I want to highlight this upper left is because let's say that you already have an app done and you only need something, quick and easy. You can always come here and copy this code, paste it into your application and get up and go. Now, if I go back to edit and I click preview, I'm going to go back to this screen, click preview. Now I'm actually running this app. So you can see here, it's a live experience of the application. So here I'll click view all articles. There's an event there that triggered this to go to a new page. Pretty slick. And I've got my default nav here so I can go back and forth. One of the things I would like to do here is this read button doesn't really do anything. So I'm going to go to edit. I'm going to go up here and I'm going to add a new child view. And in my child view, I'll just call it article view. We'll make this super simple. And then inside the article view, there's a couple ways to add controls. What I want to do is add an H1, a header, which is actually a title. So I'm going to grab title and throw that on the screen. I'm going to go from H1 to H5. I want to change the layout to like absolute. So I'm going to stick it right there. And then the other way to add a control to the form is hit Control E, and the list of controls pops up. So it's really quick to add something here. This guy will make him absolute as well. And what I want to do with this guy, since this is my article view, I want to do some special stuff here. So I am going to make this an interaction. And on the click of this, I want it to go back to the articles page. So it's just going to go right back. And let's see here. I'm going to double click it. I'm going to change this to say go back. And the content here, go back, type, it's a raised button. Let's go ahead and add an icon to this. And let's add a home button. So that's kind of cool. I'll stick that guy right there. So now this screen is done. I want to go back. You'll see it's going to be a child of this. But on my dashboard, I want to click this read button, and read's going to actually take me there. So I'm going to navigate to, which is what I want to do. And I want to navigate to article view. So what this is doing in the background is it is setting up all of the routing that you would need in your Angular app or your Blazor app or your app of choice, your framework of choice. So it's doing all this automatically. It's actually generating real code for you. So now if I go back to edit, I want to grab this file and take it down and start, adding more stuff to it. So I'm going to download the zip. And again, if I just clicked generate app, that would link me up to my GitHub. We're going to go through a whole round robin of GitHub in the next sample. So let me copy this. Actually, just let me Control X that guy. I'll go to here, go to here. I'm going to paste him in here. And it's my travel app. I'll extract all my files. And Well, that was kind of a mistake. Sorry about that. I should not have done it in the root folder. But let's just go here to Visual Studio Code now. And we will run this app. First, what we'll do is we'll kind of look at what's happening. And what I actually had this open before. So this is Visual Studio, just opens it right back up. I don't want to open that mess that I just created. This is the actual travel app, the same thing. But here's the cool thing. What you'll notice is I've got this little data source here. So when you're building an Angular application or you're building a React application, you're going to have some data service that's going to be going off to a web API, which is maybe connected to SQL Server or something. And then you're creating arrays, which then you're going to use for data binding. And that's what's happening here. So this is just mock data that we're including, or that actually we added for this specific sample, but you can add whatever data you want. And then in the application itself, we've got here the articles. And then if I look at the articles.html, this is the same code that we saw. This is normal ng4 code, which is going to iterate and loop through. And then you're going to see here how we are binding the data. This is just on ng init, and we're just doing a get data, and we're getting our data sources from our data service. So what I would do then is I would just do an npm install, just like a normal Angular app. And then I'll do an npm start. It's going to compile. And you'll see that this is the exact same thing that you saw earlier. This takes about a minute. I'll go back to the questions. Yeah, David, the question from David is, you should highlight the flow mapping and storyboarding features that are in the desktop app. The desktop app has nothing to do with App Builder. So the desktop app is a pure prototyping tool. It does not participate in this design to code story. So the desktop app is really for a designer doing prototypes. This application, the App Builder, is for pure design to code, app building. Anything you want to use will turn into code. We don't have the same components in the toolbox in the desktop app. Everything is a little bit different. That being said, in Indigo.Design, we do have image-based prototyping, which allows you to do flows. And I can show that in a second as well. But this is what's slick. Now, let me go back to the App Builder. And if we go back to our pages, and I didn't highlight these pages, but we've got all these pages that were designed to, and all of these have actions set up, right? So this is the whole flow of login, sign up, password, etc. This is the actual running app. I just did npm start on this guy, and you'll see here that all of these interactions actually work. So forgot password, I go to my forgot password, send me a link. Of course, your logic would take over, confirm my new password. Now I'm back to my login. Don't have a registration, sign up. I go to the sign up form. I'm going to click sign up, and then I get entered into the application. So all of this is done for you. So all of the code, all the routing, all the complex stuff that you normally don't really care about, we've done for you. As well as you can see, this is all the repeated data that we had in the application. Here's my navigation on the left-hand side. I've got articles and I've got dashboard. If I click read, actually, I did that on my articles view, I think. So let me click read here. Or where did that go, actually? Let's see where my read is. Did I do it on this guy? View, read. Oh, I don't know where my README page came up. That's sort of a bummer. I must not have linked it, or I forgot where I linked it. But anyway, what we should be seeing is my my article view. But all of that is, oh, it's because this is a different, yeah, this is a different app. I didn't do it to this one. But what we should see based on the initial download that I did is I'm going to jump to that page. All my code works, and it's all kind of set up for me. So if we go back to the Angular application, what you'll see is all the HTML, all of the CSS, and then all of the code for testing and working with the application that we do for you. So all of this is really good code. You can learn from it. You can start with one of our samples and then add your own data and just continue to iterate on the story. So now if I go back to what I mentioned earlier, these starting in Sketch. So if I look at something like this task management app, I'm going to open this guy, and Adobe XD reads sketch files as well as creates XD files. But this is using that design system that I talked about earlier. So if I make the screen a little bit bigger, this is the actual sketch file in Adobe XD that you can continue to iterate on, make changes to, and link up with the app builder. And once you do this, like let's say your design team designs and you're happy with the way everything's going inside the app builder, I can do a new app and I can simply grab any vector design from Sketch using the UI kit. Like we'll do this task management app, open up this guy, and it's going to do the same thing. It's going to parse that because it has our UI kits. Everything's in the toolbox that maps to the UI kits. It maps to real Angular components, future Blazor, future React, and you get everything here as if you designed it yourself. So if you're a developer or a development team and you have designers, and here if we go to preview, what you're going to see is the same thing. This is all real good, solid Angular code. Now, the one big difference between this code and let's say the code that I just showed you, if I would have opened up the sketch file of the travel app, is that the data binding doesn't happen inside of Sketch or Adobe XD. So you're going to like delete a bunch of repetitive code and then stick in the ng4 with your items. But you can do that all right within the app builder. So these are lists. These lists accept data, and then you can add your own data sources, and those data sources can link right into whatever component that you're actually using. So we tried to make it super simple. Okay, so a couple questions here. React target date. I'm hoping everything kind of comes together in November. So look around the November, December timeframe for everything to be React, Blazor, web components. It all kind of worked together. So no, this is a SaaS-based product, Michael. This is only available on the web. How does this differ from Power Apps? So Design to Code in this case is Indigo.Design with our Design to Code store is a low-code tool. Power Apps is more a no-code tool where you're using like drag and drop workflows. So this would not be, this would be different from that because now you're going to start adding more customization, authorization, authentication. The sky's the limit. Power Apps doesn't allow your UX team to get involved. You're kind of limited to their templates. It's kind of lame. Thank you, David. Yeah, we've had Indigo.Design, Indigo Studio out there for a long time, and this is really a progression of that story. So after code is generated, we still need to write CRUD code that we'll call Web API. The answer to that is yes. What we do is we will stub out the data service and the ng4 code, and then we'll get that. So where you would change the code is if you look at any of these services, like in the travel app, this is where you would write your code to connect to the Web API. Now, we are adding a capability to suck in your Swagger file and to actually deal with that server-side code. Is that going to ship in November, December? I really don't know. We just started kind of getting into that. But we're going to eventually allow you to very quickly connect the data sources here to a Web API, including CRUD. So then you can kind of, basically after that, it's awesome. What Angular version? I'm using the latest. So this will always use, the tool itself will always generate the latest Angular version. that's just a decision that we made. So we don't plan on saying, oh, if you're doing Angular 6, do this. Vue, Svelte, no, those are, while great frameworks, we just don't have a lot of customer demand for those. But we are making the code generation is extensible. So if you want to do Vue, or if it's someone wants to do an open source project to generate Vue, they can. And by the way, we might do Vue next year or the year after. It's just not a priority now. We look at the market in the enterprise is Angular and Blazor. You know, that's really where this is at. And that's what this tool is designed for. You know, if I'm a .NET developer and I've been using ASP.NET or some other tool, I need a tool like this to really help me just get the hard stuff done, which is all this layout, right? So how can I preserve CRUD code from override? I am going to show how that works in the next webinar. So we have this link in with GitHub, and you can do pull requests directly from changes inside of your app design with whatever code you have merged in your repo for this. So we do have a story there, which makes it simple to preserve code and not overwrite code. And we have a great demo for that. And I am going to get into that in the next webinar, which is in 2 weeks. And we are going to have a video on YouTube, or we might have one up there already. But if we don't, we're going to add one. So yeah, that round robin continuation story is super, super important because apps change. Designers come in and they maybe add a whole new layout. Like, let's say the designer comes in and they're like, hey, we did some user testing and this list view is no good. So we're going to delete. Let's just go ahead and delete all this. And, you know, the customer said that they wanted a grid. So we're just going to go ahead and we want to add a grid instead of a list view. And then this data grid, let's go ahead and connect it to, since this is, oh yeah, we'll just do Northwind customer. So here's my data grid. And this is really what the customer wanted to see. So, okay, great. So now I could merge that or do a pull request in GitHub, go ahead, update just that screen. And, you know, preserve code. And here, if I click preview, what you'll notice here is that this is a real data grid. So this is a data grid. It's bound to a data source. And if we go to the TypeScript, this is calling the Northwind customers, get data. What data do I want? Customers, and it's going to bind into the grid. So it's that easy to actually start mucking with this, and then, you know, going into GitHub will preserve the code. If you just do a download zip, you know, it's kind of up to you. Download zip is the easy way to do it, but that's not probably the best practice long term. Okay, so with that, Azure DevOps, we are adding Azure DevOps just like we added GitHub. We do not support Azure DevOps just yet. We are looking for an app front end for an application with OpenEdge. Yeah, I'm not too familiar with OpenEdge. So if it supports a web API, then yeah, we definitely will support that. No problem. And that story is evolving. So if you want to send me an email, jasonb@infragistics.com, let me know how we can make that easier for OpenEdge. Oh, Kenneth, hopefully I showed the data grid there real quick for you. Sorry, if you need a better example, let me know. I can do that. So go ahead and try this. I kind of answered this in the Q&A. We do have Blazor and React coming. I did my drag and drop with Sketch. We'll have full support for Figma and XD this year. Our next session is on that whole round robin with GitHub integration. If you want a personalized demo, please let us know. Email sales@infragistics or jasonb@infragistics.com. I just popped up a poll. I'm going to go ahead and launch it. If you guys can go ahead and answer that poll real quick before you hang up. I am going to add my email to, oops, where's my poll? Okay, the poll is up. Go ahead and answer those poll questions. And I'm going to add my email, or we've got it here on this screen. So you feel free to email me if you need more information, or if you have comments on this webinar. Okay, JJ, did the poll pop up?
I did see it pop up. Yeah, it looks like some answers are coming through now.
Oh, okay, cool. I didn't see what was going on there. All right, so again, thank you for answering the poll. This is all about you. So this product is for you. It's not for me. Definitely not for JJ, who's helping with this webinar today. Did a great job on these slides. We need your feedback. We want to help you build apps faster, better, without wasting days and weeks and months on mucking with the UI. We want to be able to integrate in with your preferred data sources. So OpenEdge is interesting. Please let me know more. And the platforms that you care about are interesting. So I say Blazor and Angular. That's what our customers are asking for mostly. While we do have React product, we do have web component product. The Blazor and Angular come up a lot. So that's where we spend a lot of time, and we want to get that out this year. And if there's something in this poll that we're not asking, you know, let me know, shoot me an email. So with that, I want to thank everyone for joining today. This webinar will be recorded and you will get a follow-up email today or tomorrow. And thank you again. And please let me know any feedback. I'll leave the poll open for a sec, but that's it for today. So thanks again, everyone.